You're traveling abroad and need cash. You find an ATM and withdraw local currency. Seems like a basic modern convenience, right? This exact system existed 900 years ago. The people who created it were deeply religious monks who became richer than kings and more powerful than entire nations. They ran the world's first international banking network until one king owed them too much money. Today, we're looking at the Knights Templar and how they still influence us. Moving money across the world happens without thinking now. A few phone taps or a quick bank visit completes the transfer. But 900 years ago, money wasn't digital. Money was physical and heavy and clinked loudly in bags, attracting the wrong kind of attention. Picture the 12th century. You're a lone traveler heading to Jerusalem. You're exhausted, clothes worn, mind focused on reaching the holy city. You're carrying silver coins, but silver is heavy and draws attention. The roads aren't safe. Bandits, enemies, and corrupt toll guards are everywhere. You're stuck. You can't carry money without risking your life, but you can't leave it behind either. Then you discover a stone fortress marked with a bold red cross. You've reached the Knights Templar. Once you hand the Templar clerk your gold or silver, no questions asked. In return, you get a sealed parchment with coded symbols. To anyone else, it's worthless paper. To Templars, it's as good as gold. The Templars created a system we completely take for granted today. They built the first ATM in the 12th century. The concept that you can deposit money and withdraw it from multiple locations anywhere, the Knights Templar made that real. Here's how it worked. A traveler could deposit silver at one Templar fortress, then take that encoded parchment to another fortress along their route. This meant they didn't physically carry silver. They could withdraw the exact amount at the second location whenever they wanted. It was secure, safe, and convenient. Pilgrims continued their journeys holding that fragile parchment everyone else thought was worthless. While this happened, Crusader armies were marching. Crusaders were medieval Christian warriors fighting to reclaim Holy Land. Jerusalem wasn't just any city, it was Christianity's heart, where Jesus walked. For Christians, this was the world's center, where Christ's tomb lay. For centuries, pilgrims faced growing threats as foreign forces like Seljuk Turks invaded. As the Crusades continued, Jerusalem became the key prize. Tens of thousands of Europeans headed there: nobles, merchants, mercenaries, and kings. In 1099, after a brutal siege, they conquered Jerusalem, creating a Latin Christian kingdom. Around the Holy Land, things got messy. That's where the Knights Templar entered. They provided protection. Templars defended pilgrims in the Holy Land by arming themselves. They started with swords and shields, but over time their power grew. Pilgrims trusted them not only with safety but with money too. That's why Templars evolved from battlefield warriors to international bankers. By 1150, Templars started issuing what we call letters of credit. You could deposit silver in one fortress, and weeks later pick up the same amount in Jerusalem without heavy bags and theft risks. You just needed that encoded parchment accepted across their network. This single practice changed finance forever. Templars became extremely prominent. They had headquarters on both ends of the Mediterranean, plus enormous complexes in Paris and London. They ran the first international banking system. But Crusades weren't cheap. Armies needed feeding, and fortresses required building, all costing enormous money. As Crusades dragged on, even kings started running out of gold. At battles like Harim in 1164, just 7 of 67 Templars survived. Replacing a single knight was expensive armor, weapons, horses, and provisions. Replacing all that burned through nearly a ninth of France's yearly income. That's when Templars saw another opportunity. They weren't just protecting pilgrims, they were financing crusades. Nobles, even monarchs, started coming for cash. Who were these people? Knights Templar started as warrior monks taking vows of poverty, living with nothing. No riches, no castles, no horses. They rose from holy vows to battlefield glory. Founded in the early 1100s to defend Christian faith and protect pilgrims around Jerusalem. Initially, this was their purpose, to guard pilgrims and defend the Holy Land. But as victories accumulated and donations poured in, their influence shifted. More protection meant more fame. More fame brought trust. With trust, fortune grew. Soon they managed assets, issued credit, and held medieval Europe's most sophisticated financial system. Their empire expanded. The Knights Templar possessed something no one else in Europe had: an international network backed by a private army. Dozens of commanderies stretched from Scotland to Jerusalem, all flying the Red Cross. They looked like military outposts but operated like financial hubs. What made Templars powerful wasn't what they held, but who trusted them. People trusted them with lives and money. Local lords gave them privileges others could only dream of. In places like Champagne, Templars collected tolls at markets and fairs. This was serious money. They hit the jackpot with papal support. Templars received official exemption from paying tithes, basically medieval tax-free status. The church even allowed Templars to profit from battle spoils. With extensive land holdings and revenue-generating monasteries, they built powerful economic infrastructure. When an institution handles more money than kings, it becomes dangerous. King Philip IV of France watched with growing suspicion. France was bleeding money, but the Templars were at their peak. Eventually, the Templars' strength was perceived as less sacred. Their religious shield began cracking. For decades, their divine mission gave them special status, but by the 1282, that aura was fading. In 1291, the Crusader city of Acre fell to Muslim forces, the last Christian stronghold. Suddenly, the reason for the Templars' existence no longer existed. They were holy warriors with no holy wars, a religious military order with wealth but no cause. In Europe, they didn't look like humble monks anymore. They looked like wealthy mercenaries loyal to the Pope but not kings. To King Philip IV, already drowning in debt, this was unacceptable. As wars drained France's treasury, the Templars' gold became too tempting to ignore. Philip had to find a way to seize it. But you couldn't destroy Templars with swords, they were too powerful. You had to break their reputation. In 1305, Philip ensured his man Clement V became Pope. Now the church was his. All he needed was an excuse. That came October 13th, 1307. Philip ordered the arrest of every Templar in France, accusing them of heresy, corruption, and sodomy. For 7 years, they were interrogated, tortured, and broken. Some died, and some confessed to crimes they never committed. Once trials ended, one question remained: what would happen to Templar money? Pope Clement V issued the papal bull Ad Providum in 1312, saying the Templars were finished and their wealth should pass to the Knights Hospitaller. That sounded good on paper, but reality was different. In France, King Philip kept most Templar lands for himself. England followed suit. Lands didn't go to Hospitallers, they were split between the crown and nobles. In many parts, the handoff never happened. Templars' assets were quietly swallowed by kings, dukes, and bishops. Something bigger was shifting. As monarchs seized Templar lands and financial infrastructures, old feudalism rules broke down. Rulers began wielding finance and, through it, power. Wealth could be moved without armies, castles, or even feudal permissions. The system Templars built planted seeds that undermined feudalism. Publicly, Templars were gone, but the infrastructure they created, encrypted ledgers, cross-border finance, trust-based banking, didn't vanish. It changed hands. Former Templar staff found their skills useful in emerging banks in Florence and Venice. In Florence, a different empire took shape with bankers instead of knights. The Medici family ran a serious network. Main company in Florence, but branches in Rome, Venice, Pisa, Milan, Geneva, Bruges, London, and Avignon. Each branch fed back into the family machine. Banking wasn't the Medicis' only play. They were deep in the silk and wool business. They innovated double-entry bookkeeping. But their real innovation was trust. Like Templars, they combined religious connections with financial control. Later, the Rothschild banking dynasty elaborated on the branch-based multinational model. This family operation quietly bankrolled wars, rebuilt nations, and lent to empires using a structure that looked familiar. They used the same cross-border coordination, institutional trust, and ledger-based accounting that the Templars laid the foundations for. Swiss banking systems adopted similar models. They emphasized client secrecy, immunity from interference, and independence from state control. The Swiss bank secrecy law of 1934 traces to practices mirroring Templar confidentiality ideas. Offshore finance follows Templar trust-based systems. They thrive on trust networks, intermediaries, and cross-border secrecy, the same principles the Templars used. Modern central banks operate through closed networks of trust. The same mechanisms the Templars ran through London, Paris, and Jerusalem now move billions through Basel, Frankfurt, London, and New York. Knights Templar haven't existed for over 700 years, but walk into any bank today, and you'll see their fingerprints. Their letters of credit are the granddaddy of ATMs and credit cards. Their network of outposts is the blueprint for international banking branches. Their record-keeping was medieval double-entry accounting, centuries before Excel. The legacy of the Knights Templar lives on, not just in books or conspiracy theories, but in your local bank. Their bank was shut down, vaults emptied, and symbols erased, but the ideas didn't disappear. Their wealth and financial systems were absorbed into other institutions, tweaked, expanded, but not forgotten. Their influence didn't stop at money. The Knights Templar built hospitals, sheltered the sick, and gave to the poor. They saw banking not only as profit but also as responsibility. Today we'd call that corporate social responsibility. Templars weren't all good. Some were accused of corruption and involved in financial maneuvering. They weren't completely virtuous, but it's impossible to ignore their legacy. This wasn't a war story. It was about control of capital, trust, and power. The men who mastered it weren't kings or emperors. They were monks in armor who engineered a financial machine so precise we still use it today. Kings destroyed the Knights Templar but couldn't dismantle the system they built. That structure of branch networks, credit mobility, and immunity from interference quietly migrated into royal treasuries, merchant banks, and modern institutions. Next time you use an ATM or send money across borders, you're using a system that began over 1,000 years ago in a Templar fortress. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let us know in the comments what history topic you'd like us to cover next. Thank you, and see you in the next one.